narrative point of view. Welcome! This series of lessons will introduce you to different narrative points of view as well as their functions and effects. To proceed with the first lesson, click on the next button. What is narrative point of view? Narrative point of view refers to the perspective from which the story is told. It is based on who is telling the story. There are two main types of narrative point of view: first-person and third-person points of view. Within each type, there are differences as well. We will discuss in detail 5 different kinds of narrative point of view. Click on the first box to begin. Reliable first-person narrator. Picture a story where 14-year-old Sally has an argument with her mother over her irresponsible behavior, resulting in her poor grades. This is what a reliable first-person narrator might say. "Mum really got on my case last night. I had never seen her so angry before, and I wasn't about to take it lying down. But thinking back, I suppose she had a good reason. I just couldn't resist attending Julie's party last weekend, even though I had exams on Monday. The party was extremely fun, and I had a wonderful time. But I paid the price for it on Monday. I couldn't do most of the questions. It was a horrible paper. I was still hoping that I could scrape through. But yesterday, Mrs. Cleven dashed my hopes by giving me a big fat F. Still, I think Mum should have been more understanding. It's not every day I get invited to a party." Now think of the same story, but with an unreliable first-person narrator who might say, "I think Mum is really losing it. Who knows why she blew her top at me last night? Isn't it crazy to be upset about me going to Julie's party? It's not like I did that badly for Monday's exam. All this nonsense about grades affecting my future doesn't make any sense. I am more interested in developing my talents in other areas. Anyway, I don't really care. I don't let Mum's overreaction bother me." How is this different from the previous narrative? In this one, Sally isn't honest about what really happened or her feelings. An unreliable narrator is one who cannot be trusted to give a truthful account because of lack of either honesty or maturity. We could have the same story told in an omniscient third-person narrative, which goes something like this. The day came when Sally's mum finally lost it. She had tried to keep her cool when Sally's grades started slipping. But when Sally stole off to Julie's party over the weekend, knowing full well that her math finals were on Monday, she felt she could no longer make excuses for Sally. What she did not realize was that Sally had felt bad the whole week. She could not bear to miss Julie's party. But the realization that she had messed up her finals had hit her in a way that nothing else had before. Sally would not have admitted this to her mother or even herself, but she would rather be a nerd with little social recognition than a silly little thing who could not even scrape together a pass for math. Here, the narrator is not one of the characters in the story. This is an omniscient narrator, one who knows everything that is going on and provides information that the characters themselves might be unaware of. Or we could have a third-person narrator with a limited perspective, someone who knows only what the main character knows. Sally had never seen Mum so angry before. While Mum was shouting at her, she tried to fight back, but her heart was crumbling inside her. She recalled that evening at Julie's party, how the world outside seemed to shut down for a while, and nothing else mattered besides having fun. Then she had awoken to reality the next day when she could not do most of the questions on her math exam. She had been crushed by the F grade Mrs. Cleven had given her, and yet who could she blame but herself? Still, she could not show Mum how much she cared. Better to stick her ground and defend her actions than to let Mum have this victory over her. In such a narrative, we are given only Sally's perspective, similar to a first-person narrative, but related by a neutral party. There is also the objective third-person narrative, which is less common. Imagine a video recorder that captures only what is spoken aloud or actions that are carried out, but not the thoughts and feelings of characters. Sally's mother screamed, "You've got some nerve coming back with this F grade. If I had known you had your math final on Monday, I would never have let you go to Julie's party." "It's not like I haven't learnt my lesson, Mum," Sally retorted. "Can't you get off my back and leave me alone?" The pair argued relentlessly until Sally stalked out of the room and slammed the door. As you have just heard, the objective narrator describes only what is happening, not what characters are thinking. The reader needs to infer the character's emotions and opinions, as these are not expressed by the narrator. Even less commonly used is the second-person narrative, where the narrator addresses the reader with the pronoun you. It might go like this. You have barely time to make it out of the room before Mum dangles your math exam script in front of you. "An F!" she screeches accusingly. Instantly, all your defenses are up as you launch into a retort of the importance of play and the pressures of academic work. Still, you cannot block out the mental images of your gross misdeed. Going to Julie's party when you should have been studying, should have been sleeping early to be alert the next day, should have been more sensible. And as a result of this gross misdeed, all you are left with is a stark, miserable F to show for a year's worth of math. In this case, the narrator addresses the reader as a character, usually the main one, or as an observer in the story. We've come to the end of the lesson. You can move on to Lesson 2 on comparing first and third person narratives.